Most people think white vinegar is just a weak, watered-down cleaner that can't compete with the stuff under the sink at the store, and that one wrong idea has cost people years of wasted money. It turns out the truth is almost the opposite, and Grandpa proved it in his own garage long before anyone sold a specialty spray for half of what's on this list. 43. Fight mold and mildew on bathroom tile. Dark spots creeping along bathroom grout aren't just a cosmetic problem, and bleach isn't the only fix that actually works on them. Spray full-strength vinegar directly onto the moldy area and let it sit for an hour before scrubbing with an old toothbrush. The acid kills the mold and mildew at the source, rather than just bleaching the color out of it temporarily, which is why bleach-only spots so often creep back within weeks. Reapply weekly in damp bathrooms to keep it from creeping back. 42. Descale a coffee maker. Did you know that the slow, weak-tasting coffee coming out of your machine might not be the coffee's fault at all? Mineral buildup from hard water clogs the machine's internal tubing over time, slowing the flow and dulling the taste of every pot brewed afterward. Fill the water reservoir halfway with vinegar and halfway with water, then run a full brew cycle followed by 2 cycles of plain water to rinse. Do this every 2 to 3 months, and the machine brews faster and tastes noticeably cleaner, a habit Grandpa never once skipped on his own percolator. 41. Remove hard water stains from a faucet. A cloudy, crusty faucet isn't dirty in the usual sense. It's just wearing months of mineral deposits nobody wiped away in time. Soak a paper towel in vinegar, wrap it tightly around the faucet head, and leave it in place for about an hour, letting the acid work into every ridge of built-up scale. The acid breaks down the calcium buildup, so it wipes away instead of needing to be scraped or scrubbed. Rinse with plain water afterward to keep the metal from getting a dull look over time. 40. Soften a paint-stiffened brush. A paintbrush that's dried stiff doesn't have to go straight in the trash. Warm a cup of vinegar until it's hot but not boiling, then soak the bristles for about 30 minutes. The acid breaks down the dried paint clinging to the bristles, loosening it enough to work out with your fingers under running water. A brush that seemed done for often comes back to nearly its original shape. 39. Strip old wallpaper glue. Old wallpaper glue can fight back hard no matter how much scraping goes into it. Mix equal parts vinegar and hot water in a spray bottle, saturate the glued section, and let it sit for 15 minutes before scraping. The acid softens the adhesive bond holding the paper and glue to the wall, so it lifts away instead of tearing into stubborn strips. Reapply on any spot that still resists before scraping again. 38. Lift coffee and tea stains from a mug. A ceramic mug that's gone permanently brown on the inside isn't actually permanent at all. Soak the mug in a mix of equal parts vinegar and warm water for about 20 minutes, then scrub gently with a sponge. The acid breaks down the tannin stains left behind by coffee and tea, which is exactly what makes them so stubborn against soap alone. Rinse thoroughly, and even a mug stained for years often comes back to nearly white. 37. Deodorize a garbage disposal. A smelly garbage disposal rarely gets fixed by pouring in more soap. Freeze vinegar into ice cubes, then run a handful of the cubes through the disposal while it's running. The frozen acid scrubs grime off the blades while neutralizing the odor-causing bacteria trapped below, rather than simply masking the smell for an hour. Do this monthly, and the disposal stops smelling long before you notice it building up again. 36. Break up an ant trail. Ants keep marching along the exact same line across a kitchen floor no matter how many times it's wiped down with soap. They're following an invisible scent trail left by the first ant that found food, and plain soap and water rarely fully erases it. Spray full-strength vinegar directly along the trail in any entry point you can find. The acid breaks down the scent trail completely, so the ants behind the first one lose the path entirely and stop coming back the same way. 35. Peel off a stubborn sticker. A price tag or shipping label that won't come off clean usually isn't a lost cause. Soak a cloth in vinegar and press it over the sticker for a few minutes, then try peeling from one corner. The acid loosens the adhesive's grip on the surface, letting the sticker lift away instead of tearing into a dozen sticky little pieces. Rub any leftover residue with the same soaked cloth to finish the job. 34. Rinse soap film from a dishwasher. A dishwasher that leaves a cloudy film on glasses isn't broken. It's just coated in built-up residue from months of hard water and soap. Place a cup of vinegar upright on the top rack and run the dishwasher empty on a hot cycle. The acid cuts through the soap scum and mineral buildup lining the inside of the machine. the same residue that ends up back on your dishes load after load. Do this monthly to keep glasses coming out clear. 33. Clear a mineral-clogged showerhead. A showerhead that sprays sideways instead of straight down usually isn't broken, it's just clogged with the same minerals found in every hard water home. Fill a plastic bag with vinegar, tie it around the showerhead so the nozzle is fully submerged, and leave it overnight. The acid dissolves the calcium deposits blocking the tiny holes, restoring full water flow by morning. Rinse thoroughly and run the water for a minute before showering. 32. Deodorize smelly sneakers. Did you know that a pair of shoes can hold on to odor long after they've been aired out on the porch? Bacteria trapped deep in the fabric keeps producing that smell long after the shoes look and feel dry. Soak a few cotton balls in vinegar and tuck one into each shoe overnight, then remove them and let the shoes air out in the morning. Repeat weekly for shoes that see the heaviest daily wear. 31. Wipe away soap scum on glass doors. A cloudy glass shower door doesn't need a stronger chemical spray to come clean. Spray full-strength vinegar directly onto the glass, let it sit for 5 minutes, then wipe clean with a microfiber cloth. The acid breaks down the combination of soap residue and mineral buildup clinging to the surface. Squeegee the door dry afterward, and it stays clear noticeably longer than a quick rinse alone. 30. Freshen musty towels in the wash. Towels can start smelling sour again even right after washing. Add half a cup of vinegar to the rinse cycle instead of fabric softener. The acid strips away the soap and mineral buildup trapped in the fibers, the exact residue that traps bacteria and causes that musty smell. Towels come out of the dryer noticeably more absorbent too, since built-up residue was blocking water from soaking in properly. 29. Unclog a slow bathroom drain. A slow drain doesn't always need a plumber or a bottle of harsh drain cleaner. Pour half a cup of baking soda down the drain, follow with half a cup of vinegar, and let the fizzing reaction work for 15 minutes before flushing with hot water. The reaction loosens grease and hair clinging to the inside of the pipe, something plain hot water alone struggles to shift. Repeat monthly, and most slow drains never turn into a full clog. 28. Deodorize a wooden cutting board. Garlic and onion smells can linger on a cutting board for days after it's been washed. Wipe the board down with a cloth dampened in full-strength vinegar, letting it sit for a few minutes before rinsing. The acid neutralizes the odor compounds trapped in the wood surface grain, something soap and water alone often leaves behind. Let it air dry standing upright afterward. 27. Lift crayon marks off a wall. A wall covered in a toddler's crayon art doesn't need a repaint. Dab a cloth in vinegar and rub gently over the marks in small circles. The acid softens the wax in the crayon, letting it lift away from the paint instead of smearing further across the wall. Wipe with a clean, damp cloth afterward to clear any leftover residue. 26. Trap fruit flies in the kitchen. Fruit flies seem to appear out of nowhere the moment fruit sits out for even a day. Fill a small jar with vinegar, add a drop of dish soap, and cover the top with plastic wrap poked with a few tiny holes. The flies are drawn in by the scent, but the dish soap breaks the surface tension so they can't escape once they land and try to fly back out. Apple cider vinegar works even better for this specific trick, but plain white vinegar still gets the job done. 25. Clean windows without streaks. Streaky windows are usually caused by the cloth, not a bad bottle of glass cleaner. Mix equal parts vinegar and water in a spray bottle, mist the glass, and wipe dry with crumpled newspaper instead of a paper towel. The acid cuts through grime without leaving the filmy residue some store-bought cleaners do, and newspaper leaves no lint behind the way paper towels can. 24. Soak rust off small tools. A rusty pair of pliers or a rusted wrench doesn't automatically belong in the trash, no matter how far gone it looks sitting at the bottom of a toolbox. Submerge the tool completely in a bowl of vinegar and let it sit overnight. The acid reacts with the rust and loosens its grip on the metal, so a quick scrub with steel wool the next morning lifts it away easily. Dry the tool thoroughly and add a light coat of oil to keep new rust from forming right away. 23. Extend the life of cut flowers. Did you know that the water in a vase is usually what kills flowers days before the petals actually wilt? Bacteria multiplying in standing water clogs the stem and blocks it from drawing up moisture, which is what causes flowers to droop far earlier than they should. Add 2 tablespoons of vinegar and 2 tablespoons of sugar to the vase water, then change the water every few days. Flowers kept this way commonly last a week or more longer than in plain water. 22. Deodorize a kid's lunchbox. A lunchbox that smells sour by Friday afternoon isn't a lost cause. Come Monday, wipe the entire interior down with a cloth dampened in vinegar, focusing on the seams and corners where crumbs and moisture like to hide. The acid neutralizes the bacteria causing the smell rather than masking it with a fragrance. Let it air out completely overnight with the lid open before packing it again. 21. Disinfect a reusable water bottle. A narrow water bottle neck hides more grime than a quick rinse can ever reach. Fill the bottle halfway with vinegar and warm water, screw the lid on, shake well, and let it sit for an hour before rinsing thoroughly. The acid breaks down the biofilm that builds up inside a bottle used daily, the same slippery residue that causes a musty taste. Do this weekly for a bottle that's used every single day. Now, if you've ever wished someone just organized every one of Grandma's tricks like this in one place instead of scattered across 100 videos, that's exactly what Grandma's Household Bible is. 625 plus hacks sorted by kitchen, cleaning, body and home, garden, and more. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Let's get back to fixing something sticky. 20. Remove sticky label residue from jars. The glue from a jar label always seems to outlast the label itself. Soak the jar in warm water mixed with a cup of vinegar for about 15 minutes, then rub the residue with your thumb or a scrub sponge. The acid softens the adhesive enough that it rolls away instead of smearing into a bigger sticky patch. This works especially well for anyone saving jars for pantry storage. 19. Freshen a musty mattress. A mattress that's picked up a stale smell over the years doesn't need to be replaced. Lightly mist the surface with a mix of 1 part vinegar to 3 parts water, then let it air dry completely before putting sheets back on, ideally near an open window. The acid neutralizes trapped odors in the fibers rather than covering them with fragrance. Do this every time you flip or rotate the mattress for the best results. 18. Wipe down grimy window blinds. Cleaning blinds with just a cloth rarely gets every slat truly clean. Dampen an old sock with a mix of vinegar and water, slip it over your hand and run your fingers along each slat from one end to the other. The acid cuts through the dust and grease that build up on blinds far better than a dry cloth. Rinse the sock as it gets dirty and keep going slat by slat. 17. Loosen a rusted outdoor bolt. A bolt seized shut on an old gate or piece of patio furniture doesn't have to mean replacing the whole thing. Soak a rag in vinegar, wrap it around the bolt, and leave it in place for a couple of hours before trying a wrench again. A trick straight out of Grandpa's workshop from decades of stubborn hardware. The acid works into the rust and breaks its hold on the threads, often loosening a bolt that seemed permanently stuck. Reapply and wait longer for bolts that have been rusted for years. 16. Clear hard water spots from car windows. Car windows can stay spotty even right after a trip through the car wash. Spray a mix of equal parts vinegar and water directly onto the glass, then wipe clean with a microfiber cloth. The acid dissolves the mineral deposits left behind by hard water or sprinkler overspray, something plain glass cleaner often can't fully cut through. This works on mirrors and chrome trim just as well as the windows themselves. 15. Pre-soak sweaty gym clothes. Workout clothes that keep smelling sour even after a full wash cycle need a step before the machine ever gets involved. Soak the clothes in a basin of water with a cup of vinegar for 30 minutes before tossing them in with your regular detergent. The acid breaks down the bacteria and body oils trapped in synthetic fabric that regular detergent alone often can't fully clear. Grandpa used this same soak on his own work clothes long before anyone sold a special sports detergent for it. 14. Kill weeds in sidewalk cracks. A bottle of weed killer isn't the only way to clear a dandelion pushing up through concrete. Pour undiluted white vinegar directly onto the weed, soaking the leaves and the base where it meets the crack, exactly the way Grandpa handled every crack in his own driveway for as long as anyone can remember. The acid pulls moisture straight out of the plant's cells, drying it out from the top down within a day or two. This works best on young weeds. Older, deep-rooted ones may need a second dose a few days later. 13. Freshen a thermos that smells sour. A thermos that smells off no matter how many times it's washed usually has old residue hiding in the seal or the lid's threads, exactly the spots a sponge can never quite reach. Fill it with hot water and a quarter cup of vinegar, seal it shut, and let it sit for a couple of hours before scrubbing and rinsing well. The acid breaks down the buildup trapped in spots a sponge can't fully reach. Leave the lid off to air dry completely between uses from now on. 12. Clean sticky residue off scissors. Scissors that turn sticky after cutting tape or labels don't need to be replaced. Wipe the blades down with a cloth dampened in vinegar, working it into the sticky spots before rinsing and drying thoroughly. The acid dissolves the adhesive residue clinging to the metal, restoring a clean, smooth cut. Dry the blades completely afterward so they don't pick up rust from sitting damp. 11. Keep frost off a windshield overnight. Scraping frost off a windshield every morning doesn't have to be part of winter. Mix 3 parts vinegar to 1 part water and spray it across the windshield the evening before a hard freeze is expected. The acid lowers the temperature at which the moisture on the glass can freeze, so a thin layer of frost has a much harder time forming overnight. It won't stop a heavy freeze completely, but it makes the morning scrape a whole lot shorter. 10. Keep cats out of a garden bed. Did you know that cats keep returning to the exact same flower bed to dig, no matter how many times you chase them off? Cats strongly dislike the sharp scent of vinegar and steer clear of anywhere it lingers. Soak a few rags in vinegar and tuck them along the border of the bed, replacing them every few days as the scent fades. This is a far gentler deterrent than anything sold at the garden store, and it costs next to nothing. 9. Clean grime off piano keys. Old piano keys that have gone dull with age respond well to something already in the kitchen, no special polish required at all. Dampen a soft cloth with a mix of vinegar and water, wring it out well, and wipe each key individually rather than scrubbing across several at once, the same patient method Grandpa used on his own upright for as long as anyone could remember. The acid lifts the built-up grime from years of play without damaging the surface underneath. Buff dry immediately after and keep moisture away from the gaps between keys. 8. Restore hazy headlights. Foggy yellowed headlights don't have to mean an expensive trip to the shop for new lenses. Mix vinegar with a bit of baking soda into a paste, then rub it onto the headlight lens in small circles with a soft cloth before rinsing clean. The exact trick Grandpa used on every car he ever owned instead of paying for a replacement lens. The mild acid and gentle abrasive work together to cut through the oxidized outer layer, causing the haze, though it won't reverse deep scratches or heavy pitting. This trick noticeably brightens most headlights and can genuinely improve visibility at night. 7. Trap gnats around houseplants. Tiny gnats hovering around a houseplant usually mean the soil has been staying too wet, but a quick trap solves the immediate problem without any spray. Fill a small dish with vinegar and a drop of dish soap and set it near the affected plant overnight. The gnats are drawn to the scent and can't escape once the soap breaks the surface tension. Let the soil dry out more between waterings to stop new gnats from showing up in the first place. 6. Lift rust rings off patio furniture. Rust rings left behind by metal furniture legs on a concrete patio aren't permanent stains, even after baking in the sun for a whole season. Make a paste of vinegar and baking soda, spread it over the ring, and let it sit for 20 minutes before scrubbing with a stiff brush. The reaction between the two breaks down the rust stain bonded to the concrete surface. Rinse thoroughly with a hose once the scrubbing is done. 5. Revive wilted lettuce. Limp lettuce doesn't have to mean it's already spoiled. Soak the wilted leaves in a bowl of cold water with a splash of vinegar for about 10 minutes. The cold water helps the plant cells plump back up, while the vinegar helps rinse away any bacteria sitting on the surface. Dry thoroughly with a towel afterward, since wet lettuce wilts again just as fast. 4. Deodorize a car's carpet. A smelly car carpet doesn't need a professional detail to fix. Mix 1 part vinegar to 3 parts water in a spray bottle, mist the carpet lightly, and let it air dry with the windows cracked. The acid neutralizes trapped odors from spills, pets, or fast food wrappers rather than just covering the smell with an air freshener hanging from the mirror. Vacuum once it's fully dry to lift any loosened dirt at the same time. 3. Clean a grimy ceiling fan blade. A ceiling fan caked in dust doesn't need a special tool to get clean, just something already folded away in a linen closet. Slide an old pillowcase over each blade, then pull it back slowly so the dust gets caught inside the case instead of raining down on the floor and furniture below. Wipe the blade afterward with a cloth dampened in vinegar to cut through the greasy film dust it tends to stick to. This trick keeps the mess contained in a way a plain, dry rag never manages. 2. Remove water rings from wood furniture. Did you know that a white ring left behind by a wet glass hasn't actually ruined the wood finish for good? Moisture trapped just under the surface finish is what causes that pale mark, not permanent damage to the wood itself. Mix equal parts vinegar and olive oil, then rub it into the ring with a soft cloth, following the direction of the wood grain. Buff with a clean cloth once it's dry, and most rings fade significantly or disappear entirely. 1. Make an all-purpose vinegar cleaner. Every single trick on this list points back to one simple mix that replaces nearly everything else in the cleaning aisle at a fraction of the price. Combine equal parts white vinegar and water in a spray bottle, and you have a genuine all-purpose cleaner for counters, appliances, glass, and fixtures throughout the whole house. Grandpa kept a bottle mixed and labeled under his sink for decades, long before anyone marketed a green, eco-friendly cleaner as something new and expensive. Keep one mixed and ready, and it becomes the one bottle capable of doing the job of a dozen others. Which of these vinegar hacks would you be trying this week? Let me know down below.